If you follow TV, and especially kids TV, one of the biggest changes everyone suggests is that Adult Swim should get its own 24-hour channel space. Well, you might just be getting that wish. Adult Swim, started in 2001, needs little introduction. Well, unless you're outside the US, in which case it needs plenty of introduction. It's Cartoon Network's evening and late night programming block featuring adult animation and some live action series. It's gained a reputation for experimental, surrealist, and out there content over the years. You know Rick and Morty? That comes from there. Only in recent years has the brand expanded outside the United States, but even then it's not that well known internationally. In addition to its strange shows, Adult Swim is also known for its limitations as a programming block, despite its domestic popularity, currently running from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. each night. Many in the kids' TV space and beyond have argued that 8 p.m. is far too early for Cartoon Network to end and for Adult Swim to begin, and that the two are stuck in an uncomfortable time-sharing arrangement. And some have even suggested that Adult Swim's popularity warrants it getting its own channel, with Boomerang often being named as a sacrificial lamb for the situation. Well, someone out there must have listened, because in just a few weeks' time, Adult Swim is getting its own 24-hour channel space. But only in Canada. Hear me out though, because this does mean something for the channel in the US. First though, let me explain what's really going on. Teletoon, Canada's analog to Cartoon Network, has been running its own answer to Adult Swim, Teletoon at Night, in its own evening time space since 2002, though it wouldn't go by its current name until 2009, intending to aim towards older audiences. Many series which ran Adult Swim in the US aired on Teletoon at Night up north, and the two blocks could be seen as similar to each other. In 2012, Teletoon announced that they would be launching a Canadian version of Cartoon Network, complete with a Canadian version of Adult Swim, on the ironically American-sounding date of July 4th that year. Most of the Adult Swim programming previously seen on Teletoon at Night was, naturally, moving over to the new block. But by 2015, it was becoming fairly apparent that having two programming blocks aimed at the same audience, airing at roughly the same time, wasn't really working. Teletoon at Night proceeded to experience a series of drifts and shifts at its expense, with several Teletoon at Night series moving to Adult Swim Canada that fall, and the former block briefly coming back to just 4 nights a week, Mondays through Thursdays, and adding more movies to its schedule. At one point, the block consisted of nothing but movies, and at another, nothing but 6-hour marathons of single shows each night. At present, it does have some variety, and its schedule, heavily dependent on Fox reruns, wouldn't look out of place in the US. Suddenly, on March 4th, 2019, Adult Swim Canada stopped airing on Cartoon Network Canada, turning the latter into a 24-hour channel. Not unusual internationally, but strange for North America. The channel's website at adultswim.ca was replaced with the message, "Odd things come to those who wait." April 1st, appended by the AS logo. We obviously don't have to wait until then to find out what the odd thing is, however, because you're in the middle of a video about it. It was announced in the press release that Adult Swim Canada would become a 24-hour channel on April 1st, replacing Action, a channel launched in 2001 that was originally self-explanatory but had since declined greatly into some mutation of True TV and whatever its owner's chorus had lying around that they weren't airing elsewhere. The launch of the new channel would also come at the expense of Teletoon at Night, allowing Teletoon to air 24 hours a day itself for the first time since its early years. So how is a 24-hour Adult Swim possible, and why is it only coming to Canada? Well, first off, Adult Swim's owners, Warner Media, rest in peace Turner, don't actually own Adult Swim Canada, or Cartoon Network Canada for that matter. It's not legally allowed. Instead, Chorus Entertainment, one of the heavyweights in the Canadian TV space and the main name when it comes to Canadian kids TV, licenses both brands, among many, many others, from their owners down south for their respective television channels. So this decision is coming at the hands of Chorus, not Warner Media. They also own Action, so it's their idea to replace it. Why is this important? Well, it's the first ever 24-hour Adult Swim channel available anywhere, and if that's not a major development for them, I don't know what is. But it's also a test to the idea of a 24-hour Adult Swim channel, a dream of many an online fantasy scheduler. If it proves viable in Canada, then surely Warner Media could take notice and consider its viability elsewhere, including stateside. However, the biggest barrier to launching a 24-hour Adult Swim channel is that here in the US, we don't have that many channels that are begging for a format change. And the ones that aren't owned by Warner Media. Looking at you, most of Discovery. Here in the US, we're pretty good at pruning those channels out, whereas in Canada, cable channels have to be licensed by the regulator, and then they have to stick to their chosen format. Regulations for cable channels were only relaxed in 2015, hence why Canada has some channel slots to burn, as networks which were held up by the rules but were ultimately unpopular can now be picked off, American style, if their owners feel like it. Looking at you, Book Television. Warner Media has strong brands here, each with their own place, and were they to replace one, there would really only be two reasonable targets. Boomerang, under the assumption the streaming service renders the TV channel obsolete, which is hampered by its placement on higher cable tiers, or HLN, which is largely known these days for clocking out of its news duties mid-afternoon to run nothing but repeats of Forensic Files. That's still right somehow, and they've been working as of late to try and make that work. somehow. Launching an entire new channel, the only other option, isn't that great of an idea these days, as you have to fight with every cable provider to get on their platform, a task only made more challenging with the rise of over-the-top TV services, which often don't even include channels available on cable. It was for this reason that Viacom opted to replace Spike with Paramount Network upon its US launch early last year, while the two brands coexist elsewhere in the world. So while we here in the US aren't getting the 24-hour Adult Swim we may have been dreaming about, it is happening somewhere. And that's a good thing. And besides, Cartoon Network wouldn't use the airtime that well anyway, for reasons I'll explain in detail next video. Subscribe so you don't miss that, or if you liked this. I'm Benzie Johnson Jr., I'm enthusiastic about television, and I'll see you next time.